vegan sausage rolls. Have you eaten them?
I've not, but it's meant to be a monster hit for that bakery chain.
Yeah, it's got to have a strong backbone. Yeah.
Come on, carry on.
Unidentified objects in the baggage area. Abolish the monster.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Dan, your host, and welcome to Everything's Fine, but is it? This week we saw Matt Hancock take on yet another grueling set of Bush-Tucker trials on I'm a Celebrity, and to the public's surprise, he's been bringing home star after star. If only we saw this same level of determination from the former Health Secretary in his 4 years in office. Which one do you think he looks more scared in? Anyway, speaking of hard work, the Qatari government has been grinding away to ensure this is a World Cup no one will forget. And to place the cherry on top of the mound of issues with the 2022 World Cup, the sale of alcohol has been prohibited in all stadiums across the country. Good luck to all the England fans trying to survive in the heat without anything to drink over the next 4 weeks. And finally, the ticketing website Ticketmaster crashed last week following the influx of millions of young Taylor Swift fans attempting to get tickets to her 2020-23 tour eras. It's her first tour in over 5 years, which means 90% of the fans don't even to ask their parents' permission to buy the tickets anymore. Which is probably the reason that tickets were being resold for as high as $20,000. And with that kind of money, you could afford a beer at the World Cup final. But for now, here's what we've got coming up on the show today. We've got newspaper editors Katie Preston and Emily Sinclair giving us the rundown of the world in politics. And later on, we have Amy Mann on to tell us the heartwarming story of Kathleen's legacy. And finally, Jensen Ginger performed their cover of Crazy by Niles Barkley at the end of the show. But first, we sent our field reporter Max onto the streets of York to test your knowledge on what's been going on this week.
We're here in the heart of York in the Shambles, which inspired Diagon Alley in the Harry Potter series. Well, we're not here today to find a wizard, but the magic we're going to start brewing is the results from some of the questions we're going to ask the general public about the current climate, especially about some advice for our current Prime Minister. Wonderful, so we're now joined by Evie and Josh here just outside York Minster. What is York Minster? You can't see it. How are you doing today?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good.
Well, so first question, how long will Matt Hancock survive in the jungle?
Unfortunately, I think he's gonna be through to the final three, unfortunately.
Oh, God.
Don't want him to, but I feel like that's the way it's going.
I think he might win it, potentially. Yeah. Could win it. He's getting people seem to like him, don't they? I don't know why, but people seem to like him.
Next up, what lasted longer than Liz Truss? 45 days, what lasts longer than Liz Truss?
Is it lettuce?
A lot of things in bed. Didn't do very well, did she? Fucking shocking range.
Yeah, absolutely shocking. And then finally, one word advice for the current Prime Minister.
Resign.
Listen to the people.
Yes, listen to people.
I mean, I hope they don't stay in as long as Liz Truss, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think they need to do another general election.
I'd say if it's been 3 Prime Ministers where they've not been voted in properly, I'd say I'm not a fan of that.
I don't know who your current Prime Minister is.
It changes each week. What's your opinion of York during this time of year when it's still Christmas? Yeah?
Absolutely love it. I come here last year, I did a few reviews here last year. I've done quite a few in York, to be fair, because I just love coming here. I love the shambles, I love the heritage, the culture, the buildings. It's amazing, and the people here, spot on.
What a lovely day here in York, and a very special exclusive interview with Danny from Rate My Takeaway. So it's all kicking off in the market. We're just about to go there, but for now we're going to go back to the studio, and we'll see you later on in the show.
Now, our first guests today know a thing or two about current affairs. Emily Sinclair has written many newspaper articles spanning everything from politics to movie reviews, and Katie Preston has used her platform to fight for diversity as well as writing about popular culture. Together, they are this year's co-editor and scene editor for York's largest student newspaper, York Vision. Please welcome Katie Preston and Emily Sinclair. How are you? Happy to be here?
Very happy to be here. Very excited.
I'm very well, thank you. It's lovely to have you guys on. Now, Katie, you've written multiple articles about Taylor Swift, and you've actually received some merch from a Swiftie Society as well. will you be forking out 20 grand for a ticket?
Well, if I had the 20 grand and the money for a plane, then I definitely would. But unfortunately, I don't.
And the money for the plane as well. What do you need the plane for?
Get to America.
She's not coming here.
Not yet. She's not announced it.
And for 20 grand as
I
well.
know.
What's the point? And Emily, you've written all about film and TV. How does it feel to be on this side of the screen?
I quite like it. Maybe
Do
I
you?
should convert, I think.
This is a new.
This is new for me,
path
but I
for
quite
you, is
like it. Yeah, it's interesting to see how it all works.
The pair of you clearly know your way around the front page, but were you impressed with York's knowledge of the news? Or were you expecting a little bit better from the general public around York?
I was impressed.
I was impressed.
I think it's changing quite a lot at the moment. Social media is a good way that everyone keeps up with it. So I think generally people know what's going on.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, I think people are a little bit more up to date than they used to be, especially during the pandemic. So I think York's doing okay.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think people tend to take a little bit more of an interest nowadays than maybe they did 10 or 15 years ago. Anyway, there's been so much going on. It's hard to keep up, but let's see how you two have been doing. It's time to find out as we play a quick game of Who Said This. So, an anonymous quote will appear on the screen and you guys have got to guess who said it. Pretty straightforward, right? So, who said this recently in the jungle?
I know this. It was Babatunde.
You're absolutely right, it was Babatunde. I think he was talking about Matt Hancock. That was one of the only things I saw.
It went a bit viral.
Okay, next up, who said this in a recent news report?
I don't remember. I remember it being
No
said.
idea.
I can't remember.
So
Not sure, I'm afraid.
this
Give us
was
the
a member of the Danish press. I think his name is
Yes.
Rasmus Tanholt in the World Cup.
Okay.
Yeah, he was being ushered away from whatever he was supposed to be filming. And finally, who said this one on national television?
Was it Elon Musk when he reinstated Trump?
It certainly
Elon
was
Musk.
Elon Musk, the new
Good.
owner
Wow.
of Twitter. What a
Unfortunately.
weird world we live in. This is following the recent news that Elon Musk is reinstating many banned accounts on Twitter. We want to hear from you. Share your thoughts about this on our Twitter poll. Now, speaking of Twitter polls, Katie and Emily will be rejoining us to review your opinions on this week's current issues. But for now, there's nothing like a bit of fun to warm us up on today's show. After all, everything is fine. It's definitely fine. To show us just how calm things are in the UK, let's go over to Tegan with the weather.
Well, thank you, Tom. And now a look ahead to this week's weather forecast. Now, unfortunately, looking at the forecast, we can see a tough week ahead on the weather front. This evening, mansions in London, as well as second homes in Norfolk, will experience periods of complete darkness due to the rising cost of energy prices. But don't worry, it gets better moving through the week. Climate change has caused Liverpool to become a tropical paradise. Throughout Wednesday, expect highs of 35 degrees and clear skies. Chances of palm trees and coconuts may appear briefly off the coast of Blackpool, and a westerly wind will bring fresh chip butties throughout Lancashire. If you are a royal planning to visit Yorkshire this week, I'd advise checking the forecast before leaving, as we have seen reports of light showers of eggs over the York area. Moving north, however, that calm, sunny weather will ease away just south of the border. As we cross into Scotland, we see more widespread rain, thunder and heavy explosions leading us into Thursday. Scotland will experience normal breezy winds, but on the whole, lighter weather than normal. And temperatures are not bad for this time of year. Highs of 0 and lows of -40 going into Thursday night. Now, there's going to be an area of high pressure on Friday that will drift across the Atlantic. From Washington, D.C, we can expect to see real trouble coming in from the extreme right, with high chances of storms, especially if you are in the capital area. It remains to be cautious, however, that extreme right southwesterly wind will bring a lot of low IQ across the Atlantic, so be sure to wear your thinking caps when leaving the house over the next few weeks. Overall, it's looking particularly warm week, providing you aren't in Scotland. Back to you, Dan.
Looking like a fairly normal week then. Now, from one storm to another, it's time for our infamous Twitter section. Katie and Emily are here to help us look through your responses. Let's take a look. We asked you what your thoughts are on the topics of today's show so far. And our first poll, your thoughts on Matt Hancock in the jungle. Is this fine?
Wow.
suppose more surprisingly, 40%
Yeah.
found him likeable.
I guess when you're tracking him for 3 weeks, day to day, they did quite well at not mentioning the politics too much on
Yeah.
the show. So I don't know. Surprising though.
Yeah, it's very
But then he did make
surprising.
it to the final.
He did, and I suppose that's the 40%.
Who voted
That's
for him to
probably
get
the
there.
40% that did that.
Clearly. We then asked, what's your thoughts on Elon Musk unbanning Donald Trump? And you said,
More like it.
I mean, there's still 20%.
20%. Still.
That's quite high.
You know,
That's
20%
very
of people
high.
think it's a good
Yeah.
idea to unban him.
Yeah, well.
Banned for a reason. But hey, that's just one man's opinion. In the meantime, let's catch up once again with Max, who's been getting into the Christmas spirit.
We're here today in the York City Centre for the opening of its Christmas market. So let's go and ask the general public what they think about some certain topics. So I've got 3 questions for you today, one of which you could win a prize for. The first one is, if Boris Johnson was a Christmas character, who would he be?
Elf, because he's stupid. The Grinch.
The Grinch?
Yeah, I can stand by that.
No, as I say, a polar bear because his hair.
I'd say the Grinch.
Grinch?
Does that count?
Yeah, the Grinch is so Christmas, yeah.
One word to sum up Matt Hancock in the jungle at the moment.
Oh, I can't say that on TV.
Bit useless.
Irrelevant.
Embarrassing.
Interesting. A nightmare.
Weird.
Matt.
A joke.
And finally, for the prize, which comedian threatened to shred £10,000?
Oh, Joe Lycett.
Joe Lycett.
Joe Lycett.
Joe Lycett, and that's a win! You get a celebration, but unfortunately, we only have bounties. Ah, the beautiful Alps of York. Yeah, so we're still in York. We managed to make it to the Christmas hut where it's nice and warm inside, ready to get a drink. But from what we found out today, we managed to see that the general public thinks that Matt Hancock is absolutely useless in the jungle. Equally, Boris Johnson has been compared a lot as the Grinch for stealing Christmas. And finally, that Joe Lycett has made the point very clear and is very popular amongst the general public. So without further ado, let's go back into the studio where it's nice, warm, toasty, and with a hot drink.
And if you want to make the most of the Christmas market as well as the Alpine Lodge, it will be open until the 23rd of December. And keeping the festive spirit alive, they describe themselves as a funky 5-piece family feast, hot off the stage after opening for Plant Food on their UK tour. Please welcome Jensen Ginger. Yeah, well, how is it being here? Are you happy to be here?
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on. Why don't you all introduce yourselves and what you play in the band?
Sure. My name's Rico. I play guitar. I'm Tom. I also play guitar. I also sing sometimes.
He's the lead singer. He said sometimes. I'm Mia. I play the drums, and I do actually sometimes sing.
I'm Eli, and I play the keyboard.
I'm Adam, and I play the bass.
Thank you so much. So guys, I can see you've been very busy lately with shows and appearances. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you prepare for those performances? What are your rehearsal sessions like?
Well, okay, so for the Plant Food gig, our last one, I challenged one of their band members to this like bottle cap flip. So it was like the top of a Budweiser, and I put it on my elbow, and then like you flip it down and you catch it in your hand. So yeah, that was. I lost. I did lose. He was very
I was about to say, do you sometimes practice the music as well?
It's all improv, man.
We will decide on a set list, and we see our audience, and then we decide based on whether or not they want to sing back or not. So
Yeah,
the
okay.
amount of covers we play depends on who we're singing to.
And where can we look out for you next after your amazing time with Plant Food?
Well, we're organising a Jensen Ginger birthday event
Amazing.
in January, which is very exciting.
Well,
Yeah.
looking forward to it. We'll be seeing more from Jensen Ginger at the end of the show. But for now, let's catch up again with Max, who's taken to the streets for one last time tonight.
With over 18,000 people currently enrolled at the University of York, it's clear that the students make up a large population of the city. And with the rise of the cost of living crisis, it's clear that stuff is about to change. Currently, the housing prices have gone up by at least £40 a week. So today we're here on Campus West at the university to ask the real questions that matter of how are they dealing with the cost of living crisis. How are you dealing with the cost of living crisis?
A lot of food banks are really in need, a lot more people are having to use them, and students are definitely feeling like a big brunt of that because like cost of everything is going up and like the student loan is not going up.
I live on campus, I stay at Goodrick, and honestly things are really expensive. We're just trying to cut down our cost and try to cut down on the things that we buy, the things that we spend. Really, we're just hoping that things get better in coming days.
Oh, it's a tough one, man. You know, I've really had to set back my living, you know, going back to sort of more basic brands.
There's a lack of money and a lack of support from the community because everyone's taking the brunt of the cost of living crisis, so people don't donate as much as before. So we're trying to basically help with that by getting students who can afford to, and staff as well from the university, to donate stuff for these community centres.
So we're running a little food store with All Should Eat and Amnesty Societies combined, and all the proceeds go to Town Hall Community Centre and Dorothy 4.
Oh, you know, it's rough, you know, especially because we got a government that doesn't favour that.
I think it's really important to know what support is available for the university as well.
Rent prices are going up, your food shop isn't going down, and the money isn't going where you need it. And especially for students at the moment, it's becoming increasingly hard to live in this current climate. After speaking to a number of students, as well as Amnesty International, it's clear to see that something needs to change. When it will change is the question. Back to you in the studio, Dan, and back to the rest of the show.
Now, with the cost of living crisis reaching a high point, we thought it's the best time, more than ever, to bring back our Teleshopping segment.
Thank you, Dan. And that's right, it's an excellent time to purchase some amazing products at outstanding deals and prices to make this year's cost of living crisis enjoyable and fun. Now, we've partnered with the top UK supermarkets to bring you some amazing deals on groceries today. Worried about gas prices and looking for a healthy, cost-effective alternative? No worries! With this can of beans, you can eat them cold for just $14.99 each. Available now at our selected retailers coming up on your screens. Now, trust me, these beans have everything you need in a meal. They are 2 of your 5 a day, beans and tomato, and they are seriously good value for money. Do not sleep on this deal, people. You won't find something so delicious at this price for a very long time. But if beans aren't your thing, then we have loads of other great deals on groceries for you. If you prefer something with a bit more variety, then you have to get your hands on these. They're calling it the potato, and there's so much you can do with it. Boil it, roast it, fry it, or if you want to just keep those bills low, just eat it raw. And once again, we can offer you a great deal on this. We know you're going to love the potato so much. We will throw in another for just 1 month's rent. Offer ends tonight, so be quick. Trying to keep those heating costs down over the Christmas holidays? Then look no further than this woolly hat and gloves, endorsed by former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. This beauty comes in cheaper than retail price at just $79.99. Now, these cans of beans or potato wouldn't be any fun without a nice cosy fire. So turn off those radiators and turn up the heat with this professional fire starting kit. Reduced from £150 to £149.99 when you use code MINIBUDGET at checkout. But it gets better. Phone in now and we will throw in this torch, which you can use to navigate your home completely for free. All you need to do is pay the £100 postage fee. It does a great job of lighting up your home when you just can't justify turning those lights on. If you order today, we will ship this product to arrive before Christmas next year. Now guys, if you like the look of what you've seen, then make sure to pick up the phone now. The lines are open, but these deals won't be here forever, so get calling.
Now, here on Everything's Fine, we do like to have a bit of fun and a laugh at the world around us, but every so often it's nice to find a story like this that brings us joy at nobody's expense. After the loss of their grandmother earlier this year, Amy's family wanted to carry on her legacy of knitting blankets for local hospitals and hospices. For this family, the blankets represent the warmth, love and courage made for those in need of care and in their final moments of their lives. For something to really warm your heart, take a look at this.
So Kathleen's legacy is knitting blankets for end-of-life patients across the UK. Knitting, crocheting, everything, just to provide that warmth and love and care in the end of when you die. So my mama would knit blankets for people who had had baby loss, and that is because my family have had a lot of baby loss. Knitting is the only thing that's keeping me sane. It is the only thing that is keeping me calm and from breaking down. And my mama tried to teach me to knit and she couldn't do it. She'd get so stressed at me because I could not understand how to do it. And then my mum sat down and did it with me. And then as she was in hospital, it became something we did every day. And then from there I said, right, I'm gonna knit blankets for people who are dying. Every patient in ICU, I think it's in Nottingham and a lot of trusts, that they will get a knitted heart. And these knitted hearts will go with the relative who's dying, and then will go to the family, so then they've got a piece with them. So Evie said, Kathleen's legacy taught me about end-of-life care. It opened my eyes to life's final moments and the impact that something as small as a blanket can have, giving a person a final hug, some warmth and a personal piece of love. Once you start to think about the detail and the impact this can have on someone, maybe even a person you loved, it's impossible not to be involved. And that blanket gave that person so much warmth and gave them so much happiness, because they could not settle in a hospital blanket, and it kept them really warm. I've got friends who are on placement who have got Kathleen's blankets ready to take to a patient who comes end of life, they can give it to. Yeah, so I think the best thing is having such an expert on board who messages me every 3 days like, I've done another blanket, oh I've done this pattern piece, can you share it? It's so nice because she's got such a big network as well. It relieves a lot of anxiety. Honestly, I can sit on train journeys and I'll have a blanket done. I went to Blackpool a few weeks ago and I had a blanket done within 5 hours because I just sat on the train going really fast with my crochet needle, and this woman was watching me like, what?
We are lucky enough to have Amy here tonight, who's taken time out of her nursing placement to speak about this amazing organisation and the incredible work that they do. Amy, thank you so much for joining us today. It's lovely to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, can you tell us a little bit about how Kathleen's legacy started and what your day-to-day involvement is, I guess?
So Kathleen's legacy started the day essentially my mum died. We ran down to go see her. There was a blanket on the bed. My mum wasn't happy. We got her blanket out, and that blanket now stays with me that she died in. And my mum knitted, so it was a solace for her to keep knitting for people, and it was a solace for me to keep knitting, to keep anxiety away and stress of grieving. Yeah. I run it, but when I'm struggling on placement, my mum runs the social media and she gets in touch with people, just tutorials on Facebook and everything. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. So was the knitting sort of something that you, I guess, grew up with around your mama?
So my mama was knitted for as long as I remember. My mum did. I always thought it was my mama who knitted my cardigans for dancing, but it was my mum. But she has got a sewing machine. Well, I've got a sewing machine now that is my, I think, great-great-grandma's sewing machine. It's very old, over nearly 100 years old. So I know how to sew, but never knitting. And it was when she was really poorly, that's when my mum sat me between her legs, moved my arms and hands, and taught me how to knit. And she just went, you've got it straight away. I don't get how my mum couldn't teach her, which is quite incredible,
so
really.
So you brought some of the stuff with you today?
I have. So
because these are beautiful.
This one is the one I knitted on the way to Blackpool, crocheted. I need to add one more bit to it and then that's done, and that's going to go to a hospice in Oldham, or a hospital in Oldham. And then this one is the OG blanket. This is the blanket my mama knitted me a few years ago for Christmas, and we stick by the style that my mama knitted with. So I haven't got the patience, so I knit big ones, but we knit squares, stitch them together, and it creates a big blanket.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of our blankets aren't this big because my mama spent ages doing it.
I bet.
But we do tend to do, I think it's 13 by 13 squares, and it can be any colours, it can be the same colour, anything really. But this blanket will be with me for the rest of my life for how special it is. Yeah. Even my housemate's got one. My mama sent it last year for her birthday.
So it's just amazing how many people you've been able to reach with this. What would you say has been the big challenge for you in that?
I think it's getting in touch with people and the right people. And then once you get in touch with someone, they're not the right person. But then once they hear the story, they want to help. They want to do as much as they can. And I think it's hearing people talk openly about dying.
Yeah.
And that can be a really hard subject if you're not used to it.
Mm.
And when someone tells something about their loved one, I will get upset. I'm a very emotional person. And it's just holding that strength in to build that strength and knowing that we are helping someone not die in a blue blanket. That is the ethos. I wouldn't want to die in a blue blanket.
No.
I want to die in warmth and comfort, and my mama did, and everyone else should have that chance.
Yeah. So how can people watching this get involved, as they all should?
You can follow us on social media, you can donate wool on our Amazon wish list, you can share posts is the most amazing thing. Word of mouth, if you can put me in touch with someone who I can get in touch with.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to knit or crochet, I can teach you, it's no
Amazing.
problem. If you wanted to stitch squares together, that is no problem.
Right.
There's so much.
Well, people certainly should, and it's an extraordinary thing you've done. And please, everyone at home, pick up their knitting needles and get involved. So thank you so much, Amy, for your time here today. Now, to play us out, we loved speaking to them earlier, and we can't wait to see what they get up to next. Performing their version of Crazy by Niles Barkley, please welcome Jensen Ginger.
There was something so special about that place. Even my emotions had an echo in so much space. When you're out there without a care, yeah, I was out of touch. And it wasn't because I didn't know enough, I just knew too much. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Possibly. Well, I hope that you've been having the time of your life. Just remember, gotta always think twice, no. Who do you think you are? Oh my, bless your soul. You really think you're in control? Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe we're crazy. Maybe I'm crazy, possibly.
And thank you to Amy from Kathleen's Legacy, and of course to the wonderful band. Join us next week where we welcome Emma Bunton, Rebecca Carey and Carter's Lane with their debut single. And just remember, everything's fine. Good night.